Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Khalil Doheny. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager at Digital Niche Agency. Today, I have Daniel Ash and Bob Legender.
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 Yeah, it's okay.
I didn't want to mispronounce it. From MoJoose. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. Thanks, Khalil, for setting up this webinar. We really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. And I want to thank everyone who's in the audience today. Those who are attending, let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm currently from Los Angeles. It's gloomy. We're finally getting to that time of the year where you can really feel that season changing. Gentlemen, where are you guys tuning in from?
I'm down in Southern California in South Orange County. Our office in Aliso Viejo, and it's we've been down here for a few years. We love the weather. Can't beat it. And Bob?
Outside of Fort Worth, Texas. Moved here 2 years ago. So great place. Weather's still good. So all good down here.
Awesome. And before we get started, do you guys want to just kind of give a quick intro about yourselves, your history and, where and how you guys got to where you're at today?
So I think, Khalil, maybe we'll play that little 2-minute video that we have. And then once we end that video, we'll jump in and talk a little bit about our background and kind of how we came to MoJoose here. So how's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, let me see if I can navigate this real quick. Everyone can see my screen okay?
Ken.
All right, there we go. Let's see. Is it playing?
It is not.
No.
Oh, wait, here we go.
From home. Of that, around 13.2 million are experiencing daily internet connectivity issues, and 72% of us still experience drop calls, weak cell signals, and slow data connections on a regular basis. As a result, the demand for cell signal boosters has increased by 200%. MoJoose has developed a 4-in-1 smartphone case to solve that problem. MoJoose is the only protected phone case with a built-in signal amplifier, and we're the only ones patented to do it. It also charges your phone and reduces phone radiation. It's approved by Apple's MFI program, and we believe it is the only device of its kind approved by the FCC. I used to lead a cell phone signal amplifier team at Hewlett-Packard and worked with PowerWave Technologies, a leader in cell tower amplifier products. When I worked from home, I only had service while standing next to my kitchen sink. I thought to myself, with my experience in the industry, why not shrink a signal amplifier to fit inside a phone case? MoJoose was born. To date, we've raised over $7 million, received 10 granted patents, earned 6 CES Innovation Awards, and have already sold thousands of units during our pilot launch. Comparable home signal boosters cost from $400 to over $1,000, require a complicated installation process. MoJoose cases start at $99, don't require any setup, and can travel with you anywhere you go, even when there's no electricity. This means the 6.6 billion global smartphone users can be connected at home, in the office, while traveling, during emergencies, and in almost all weak signal areas.
Yes, I can hear you well now.
We're now gearing up for our commercial launch and aim to expand our case selection to cover most Apple and Samsung devices. Invest in technology that's making smartphone use more available, reliable, longer lasting, and safer. Invest in MoJoose today.
All right, thanks, guys. So I think what I'll do at this time is put our if I can get our deck up. Give me 1 second. Just sharing the screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Is it in presentation mode. How's that?
There we go. Perfect.
Good.
All right, perfect. All right, well, we covered a lot in that 2 minutes, but, thanks again, Khalil, for setting up the call. And, just to start out and give everyone a little bit about my background, I started in defense electronics over 30 some years ago, about 35 years ago. Started working before cell phones, working in Silicon Valley in defense electronics, products like the HARM missile, Patriot missile defense system. Some of you might remember that from Desert Storm. So this was pre-cell phone. So right when cell phones first started out, I moved over to Hewlett Packard. And that was right during the first cell phones were coming out. People might remember the first Motorola flip phones, Ericsson, Siemens, Nokia. Those were the popular phones back then. Well, at Hewlett Packard, we were actually building the amplifier chipsets for those early phones. So we actually designed the product in San Jose, and we were moving it to Penang, Malaysia. We were building about 1 million amplifiers a month. So really, I was really on the kind of right there on the groundbreaking first cell phones as they were coming out. And from there, I moved over to a company called Hewlett Packard, which I worked at Hewlett Packard. I moved over to a company called PowerWave Technologies, which is down here in Southern California, which is kind of what brought me down here to Southern California. PowerWave is the leader they were the leader in cell tower technology. So I basically went from the handset side to the tower side, started running global operations. During the time that I was at PowerWave, we took the company from about 100 million in revenue to just over $1 billion in revenue in about 5 years. That's where Bob and I met, and he and I were responsible for basically moving the products offshore and, moving that revenue up from 100 million to over $1 billion. So it was during that time at PowerWave that I would have to go home in the evening and have my calls with the factories in Asia. It would be their morning, and the only place my cell phone would work was right by my kitchen sink. So notepad, cell phone, standing by the kitchen sink every night, making my calls with whether it was China, Philippines, or Thailand. And I said, I was like, hey, there's got to be a better way. I should be able to sit at my desk and make these phone calls. So I went out and took a look and said, hey, what's out there in the market? So I did find this cottage industry where there's a signal booster that has this big antenna on the roof of your house with 30 to 50 feet of cable, indoor amplifier, indoor antenna, gives you like one room of service, and it's $400 to $1,000 plus installation. So that's when I thought, why don't we try to take and make a signal booster small enough? Let's shrink it down small enough to fit inside a smartphone case. So that was really the genesis, and that was kind of where MoJoose was born. Is let's pull together a team of engineers and see if we can't make something that's actually user friendly. So with that, Bob, would you like to give a little bit of background about yourself before I jump into the slides?
Sure, real quickly. About 23 years in the storage industry at Western Digital, and Seagate Technologies just recently retired there last November. During my tenure at both companies, ran operations and global supply chain. Lived in Singapore 11 years, a year in Malaysia, a year in Ponce, Puerto Rico. So moved around quite a bit. Still married, by the way, which is a good thing. But a lot of movement. Family came, and I left there last November. PowerWave, as Dan mentioned, I was the executive vice president. Had all the operations, had engineering, R&D. We had all of supply chain, marketing, and sales reporting into me. So as Dan said, we did a lot of acquisitions, a lot of consolidations. I spent a lot of time in Sweden, where our headquarters was there, along with R&D. We moved a lot of our operations. We did an acquisition in Costa Rica. We moved that, did the consolidation. Dan drove a lot of that synergy. That's where we got to work together, to know each other. And so the story begins, right? So Dan asked me to help out, get involved, be part of the board, which I was glad to do. And I'm looking forward to getting this product commercialized and out into the marketplace. Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. All right, all right, so disruptive technology. So, you know, we've talked about this, but MoJoose, we're a California-based cell phone accessory designer, manufacturer, and we've developed a cell phone signal amplifier small enough to fit inside of a smartphone case. It's never been done before. So our smartphone case does more than just protect your phone. Introducing, you know, the MoJoose 4-in-1 case. So again, first and only truly mobile cell phone signal amplifier that can give you up to 100 times better signal strength. When people say, "Whoa, 100 times," well, RF signal is in decibels, so you know it's on a log scale. So 20 dBs is 100 times better signal strength, and we offer up to 20 dBs of gain in our signal strength. We've got 100% more battery. We have the quick charge, which is 2.5 times faster than a standard wall outlet. We are also reducing the phone's radiation by an average of 70%. And we're doing all of this in a very stylish 3.4 ounce protective case that has also passed the industry standard 1 meter drop test. So this is our flagship product, and you know, this is MoJoose. So patented and certified disruptive technology. You know, again, we set out with a goal. I pulled some top engineers in, as you'll see later in our presentation, and we said, let's see if we can shrink a signal amplifier down small enough to fit inside a case. We started the feasibility. We started writing the patents. We were able to produce the product, and you know, the results are we're FCC certified. We're the only product with a signal amplifier built in that's been FCC certified. We're IC Canada certified. We're IFATEL Mexico certified. We've actually received Apple's MFI certification, and as far as we know, we're the only product with a signal amplifier that Apple has ever approved to be form-fitting on their product, on their case. We've received 6 of the CES Innovation Awards, which that's the big CES show that's out in Las Vegas coming up here in January every year. And again, we have 10 granted patents that really secures our product, and we have a very strong IP portfolio. The need. Excuse me, sorry guys, I'm getting over a cold. I got to keep my voice going here. You know, so really, when you think about it, how do we help consumers? And everyone's heard this tagline, more bars and more places, but that's simply what we set out to do. How do we give people more bars and more places? Whether you're at home, office, at your kids', you know, soccer practice or softball practice, if you're driving to work on a long drive in rural areas, or just stepping into that high rise, we've all experienced that dreaded dead zone where we know, hey, I'm probably not going to get a call here, or you got that spot on your commute to work where you say, hey, I might have to call you back. I'm going through that dead zone. So that's what we're all about, is solving that problem. So
let me add to that, Dan. Let me add to that as you highlighted some of the areas of industrial. So when you look at your transportation companies, your UPS, FedEx, DHL, you look at Uber drivers, big opportunity there. You look at your oil and gas, as you can see in the picture, Canada, very remote locations, right? And dense in certain parts of Mexico in population and in infrastructure. So when you look at this technology and you look at the application and where it can be used, it's a widespread, and we're very excited about those type of opportunities.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. No, thanks for adding that. Appreciate it. So again, MoJoose is providing signal and battery when and where you need it the most. I mean, that's really what we set out to do. So when we talk about the market, you know, we talk about a huge addressable market. I mean, if you think about it, 6.6 billion smartphone users, that's almost as many people that there are on the planet. You know, that's the, you know, the value of that in the world this year is $450 billion in the smartphone market. So we are in one of the largest market segments out there. There was 1.54 billion smartphones sold in 2021 globally. And then, you know, we wanted to kind of dive down in more into our segment, and we look at the battery case market. You know, it was 5.4 billion in 2020, and it projected to reach 9.7 billion by 2027. Then we move over to the signal boosters, which is currently at 12.85 billion in 2022, and expected to reach 22.8 billion by 2028. So again, these are emerging markets, they're growing. And then lastly, we talk about 5G. And you know, we all know the buzz right now. You can't turn on the TV without hearing about 5G. Everything's coming 5G. Well, 5G was 5.1 billion in 2022. And by 2030, it's projected to reach just shy of $800 billion. So this is one of the biggest markets coming, you know, that we know of. And the nice thing is the MoJoose product and our portfolio fit really nicely with this new 5G technology. So we're very excited about that. We talk about our current and future product roadmap. We're currently selling for iPhone 7 and 8, the iPhone SE 2020 and the iPhone SE 2022. And upon successful funding, within 6 months, we will have a full portfolio of the Apple and Samsung products. That includes the Apple 12, 13, and 14 series, the Pro models and the Pro Max models, along with the Samsung Galaxy S22 models as well. You know, in the United States, you know, 80% of the market is Apple and Samsung. They dominate 80% of the market. So, and then as we move into the second year, we will continue to build out the new versions of these phones. We will also be launching our international version. Our current version works in North America. We talked about Canada, US, and Mexico, but we will be rolling out our international versions. And then we will also be rolling out our what we call 5G millimeter wave, which for most people, they see 5G on their phone now, but it's really just the 5G of the current cellular bands that are out there. 5G millimeter wave is really that next generation that's up there at the 28 and 38 gigahertz, kind of on the technical side of that. And then moving out into the future, we will look at other Android models, whether it's Motorola or Pixel. We will look at that and see if it makes good business sense to expand into some of the other models as well. And then we talked about product roadmap. Now we're talking about technology roadmap, signal amplifier and booster product portfolio. So along with the product portfolio, we are going to be integrating, you know, like continuous improvement. We're going to be integrating new features as we move forward with our products. So one of the first ones is wireless charging. So the next products that come out, the iPhone 12, 13, and 14, the Samsung Galaxy S22, they're going to have wireless charging. If it's iPhone, it's going to have the 15-watt MagSafe. If it's Samsung, it's going to have the 15-watt Qi charging. So that is one of the features that'll be incorporated right away. In addition to that, in parallel, we're taking our current signal amplifier, which we call a discrete signal amplifier, which is all kind of chip and wire and components, and we are reducing that down to a MMIC, or some people call it an ASIC, where we're basically taking that signal board, that printed circuit board, and we're shrinking it down to a chip. So not only is it going to reduce size, but it's going to drastically reduce our bill of materials costs. So, and that also lends itself right into this next area, 4G, 5G, Internet of Things, because we've gotten a lot of inquiries about, hey, can we just buy your chipset, your technology to put in some of our wireless remote devices where we need connectivity in a remote area, but we don't have good cell coverage. So that would lend itself to roll right into that on the technology side. Again, we will be rolling out our international, case model, and then moving into the end of year 2, we will be looking to roll out a home 4G, 5G home unit for the North American market, and then we will also be rolling out an international product for the 4G and 5G for the international market. So not only do we have a lot of exciting things going on the product side, but also on the technology development side. When we talk about the competition, you know, they always say, don't ever say you don't have any competition. But the reality is we don't have any direct competition. We have, our value proposition, we can go after the battery case buyers and the signal booster buyers, because we have our battery case is in the same price range, the $99 to $149, as the high-end battery cases, the either Apple or Mophie, the ones that are actually MFI certified as we are. We're in the same price range, but yet we're adding not only that 100% battery and the quick charge, but we're also giving them a built-in signal amplifier. So we believe that we can compete very nicely with the battery case market. But then when we go into the signal booster market, the signal boosters are stationary. They are either in your car or they're in your home. They start at $399 to over $1,000 plus installation. And we think that having a product that's connected to your phone that has very ubiquitous coverage is very favorable for that. Again, one more, just to kind of hit home what we're talking about on the competition. If you get a home unit and you pay the $400 to $1,000, you've got to have a cable on the roof of your house. You've got to have the 50 feet of cable and the indoor amp. You've got to install this thing, and you can see at the lower right here the whole kit of material that they send you to either get a professional installer or to have you do it if you're a do-it-yourselfer. What we've done is we've taken that antenna that had to be 50 feet apart, and we've shrank it down to where it's only 4 inches apart. One of our antennas is at the top of our case and one is at the bottom of our case. And that's a lot of what our patented technology centers around. So again, imagine having a mini cell phone tower antenna system built right into your protective case. Another slide talking about competition. This is actually a screenshot right from Amazon, and Amazon is highlighting their signal boosters here, and they're showing the ones we talked about, the $399, and they all require installation. And then what you'll see right there at the center of the page is, the MoJoose product is the only one that's snapping on your phone, and there's no installation. And you can also see that we're Amazon's choice in this. Again, this is directly from Amazon's site. So again, we really are truly the only mobile signal amplifier on the market. So sales strategy. Our sales strategy, we're starting out with e-commerce. E-commerce and strong direct sales is our quickest path to revenue. So that's Amazon.com, Walmart.com, and our own site, MoJoose.com. Amazon alone has over 300 million subscribers. Walmart has over 450 million visits per month. And we've received data from our rep at Amazon saying that there's an average of 2.1 million searches for battery cases on Amazon every month, and 850,000 searches for signal boosters on Amazon every month. So driving our product onto the Amazon site, it's, we're right there, and that's a great position for us to be. So as we move into the back end of the first year, we will then transition into, we're going to start our brick and mortar with the airport stores. The airport stores will help us drive brand awareness and generate revenue. And we've already, spoken to InMotion, Blue Wire, and Hudson's, which are, they're the three big stores that you see that sell cell phone accessories when you're in any of the airports across the United States. We've talked to all of the executives, and they're very excited to bring our products on as soon as we have our new latest versions ready to be rolled out. We will next, going into year 2, we will be moving into national big box retailers. That's your Best Buy, Apple, Target, Office Depot, and then from there, going into the second part of that of year 2, we will be engaging with AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile / Sprint, rolling out into their stores, and then finally we will take a look at the club stores like Costco and Samsung. But when you take a look at this, the retail stores in the U.S. alone is over 30,000 retail stores. So we see a big opportunity, and we've had a lot of great conversations with all of the execs at these companies. And the biggest thing is, roll out your new products to us, have the product portfolio, and we're ready to bring it in. So what's the press saying about us? So we've gotten some nice reviews from the press, whether it's Huffington Post or CNET or Network World, Tech Picks. If you look at Huffington Post, worked well, almost tripled our battery life, doubled or tripled our signal strength. So we've gotten some nice reviews out there, from some of the publications. But I think for me anyway, what has been the most rewarding is, we've sold the products out on Amazon, and, getting good reviews on Amazon, where we've taken this product from, conception to design, development, to actually rolling this product out to the customer, and seeing these reviews where we've got the UPS semi truck driver who says, hey, I couldn't get coverage in remote areas, and now I can. And we've got these are just examples, but the lady in Alaska that said, I couldn't get service, and then I finally got service to find out I'm going to be a grandmother. Or the guy in the Texas oil field who said, hey, I had no signal and are very limited, and now I've got good signal using your product. So very satisfying for us to see these kind of reviews on a product that we've brought to market. So to me, this has just it's been great seeing these Amazon reviews. So manufacturing, we're currently manufacturing in Malaysia. And Bob, do you want to maybe jump in and just talk a little bit about what we have going on in the manufacturing side?
Sure. So we have a new product introduction site in San Jose. So from the engineering community, MoJoose engineering, to manufacturability, testability, the process, that will all get wrung out in the San Jose, California location of the contract manufacturer. From there, they will transfer to their high volume manufacturing site, which is in Penang, central part of Malaysia. Also, we're talking about Tuas across the causeway in Singapore, where a lot of my relationship with this contract manufacturer took place, so we can leverage the resources and technical skills as well as the supply chain, which is all critical. The other thing I think you folks, people need to realize is as you're transitioning the supply chain at the component level, you hear about shortages and supply chain interruptions and things of that nature. These guys are very, very professional. They're experienced in working with a lot of big electronic OEMs, which is where a lot of the issues are. My relationships with a lot of the executives of these companies, which to me, the team working together goes a long way to kind of button this up from a supply chain, integrity of supply, the manufacturability, speed, the quality, right? Shipping out, as well as your cash flow and how that works. Because being a startup, cash is important. So payment terms, things of that nature, which have already been discussed with this contract manufacturer, which has been agreed to, which gives us a nice flow when it comes to the cash flow and how we optimize our capital, which is critical, as you can see in the third point. So we're excited about that. As far as the logistics, all the fulfillment will be handled by this contract manufacturer. Got great relationships with UPS, FedEx, DHL. We'll be leveraging them as well along the way as we grow the business. So that's where we're at there, Dan.
No, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. And as Bob said, a lot of this, Bob and I both have quite a bit of experience in contract manufacturing in Asia. Bob's been, again, from his background, he's been doing a lot of this recently, and he's already put in place very good payment terms, in the 90 to 120 day terms with this contract manufacturer that we will be working with going forward. I didn't change. Okay, so again, we've talked about, we have a world-class team of experts in global operations and high volume manufacturing. We'll talk about our engineering and the consumer electronics side. I've given you, at the start, I gave you kind of an overview of my background, MoJoose and PowerWave and Hewlett Packard, and Bob's talked as well. Is there anything else, Bob, that you'd like to add in your bio here?
No, we've got a team that is extremely experienced as well, as you mentioned earlier. So the key is you want to keep the team as lean as possible from an operating and execution perspective. But I think our team is solid along with the CM. So we're off to a good start.
All right. Thanks, Bob. So when I kind of transition into the sales and marketing, on the sales and marketing side, we've engaged and we've been working with a company called Target Path, and Target Path is a business accelerator. They're kind of a sales and marketing. They do a lot of focus on consumer electronics, and they've assembled a team of experts in a lot of different disciplines within that, within that industry. Scott Hicks, who is the founder and managing partner. We work closely with Scott. So if you think about, they have a team of experts that we can pull a portion of that. We can get like a fractional portion of that person without having to hire a full-time person for that position. So an example is if we need someone in logistics, they have a logistics expert that we could use 25 or 30 or 50% of that person's time. And so we're paying a fraction of what we would pay to hire and bring someone on staff. An example of that is they have an expert in Amazon, a lady that's an Amazon expert. We use her, part-time, 25, 30% of the time. And now we've got someone at the expert level, but yet we're not putting them on our payroll at that, at the full salary. We're using fractional. So that's kind of where we are with, and Scott's done some things like if any of you might have heard of Soul Republic headphones, that he was the founder and CEO of that company, raised 54 million, sold it 2 years later to Homedics. And then Dina, who works with Scott. Dina is in the consumer electronics space. This is no hyperbole. She really is a rock star. I mean, she's the first woman on the board of the Consumer Electronics Association, which again, that's the CES show that's coming up here. She's now the vice chair. And, just one notable thing that some of you could probably relate to, the Dr. Dre headphones, that was her product line that she took from inception up to 1 billion in revenue and ended up was instrumental in selling that to Apple for $3 billion. So again, we're very fortunate to have Scott and Dean on our team when it comes to the consumer electronic space. Then when we talk about our, our engineering team, we've got a very experienced engineering team. Between myself and Jeremy and Nikolai, we have over 45 patents. Jeremy and Nikolai both worked with me at PowerWave. We've got another gentleman, I don't have him on here, Eugene, who was a PhD antenna specialist out of Nokia. But Jeremy has been responsible for really building the hardware and building the product, our current product for us. He previously worked at Qorvo, which is a top chipset designer for 5G right now. He's also worked at TeleASIC, has over 10 patents, 25 years experience. And we've got Nikolai, who really is RF, in the cellular space. He's a top scientist, PhD. He's worked on developing a lot of our international product for us. Again, he was a design engineer at PowerWave. That's where our synergy's at. But he's also worked at some top companies like Filtronics and Ace Antenna. He was also a professor at the University of Moscow, where he taught radio and quantum physics. So brilliant engineer. So reasons to invest, and kind of a summary of what we've just talked about here. Again, disruptive technology. We really are the first and only truly mobile signal amplifier that's built into a cell phone case. You can Google it all you want. You won't find another one. We're the only ones out there. We're the only one that's gotten FCC approval, that's got Apple approval. And again, we've won the 6 CES Innovations Awards. But I think, we've raised over $7 million of private equity to really complete this development. And when you look at it, this is something that's never been done before. So just to give you an example, when we went to the FCC and we said, we want to bring this product to market, it's an amplifier that fits in a cell phone case. They go, there's no rules around that. There's never been a product like this before. So we had to work with FCC in Washington, DC, and it took us a year, and they had to write rules around our product to finally get us approved. So that's kind of the level that we're talking about. Apple, we went to Apple, they said, we've never seen a product like this before. No, they told us no to start out with. We're not going to let you put an amplifier on our phone. It took us 9 months of working with their engineers up in San Jose, where they finally said, okay, this is helping, it's not hurting, we will give you approval. So all of those things took time, they took money, but those were huge milestones for us to take something that's never been done before and get it to the point where we've received those approval levels. Again, we've got the 10 patents for our breakthrough technology, and we feel we have very strong patent protection. I talked about it briefly earlier, but we did roll out a pilot launch. We built 3,000 units. We sold them on Amazon, got great reviews. And we, it was about a little over $300,000 in revenue. We talked about how big this market is, 6.6 billion smartphone users, huge market. We've talked about our team. We do believe that we have a world-class team of experts, not only in global operation and manufacturing, but also in the wireless technology side and consumer electronics. So I guess the way to kind of boil this whole thing down is we've really set the foundation. Whether you're talking about certifications, patents, validation, we've set the foundation for our commercial launch. So that's where we're at now. The funding and financing that we're looking at now, it's gonna finance marketing, further product development, production, management team rollout, and we believe that this is going to move us to the point where we're going to get to profitability and really position the company for acquisition or possible IPO. So that's MoJoose, and that's where we're at, and that's what we're doing. So thank you guys very much for listening to our presentation.
Awesome, and thank you so much, Daniel, for that wonderful presentation.
Even with trying to keep I've had a cold for a week, so I'm trying not to cough or not.
I'm there with you. I am there with you. I'm recovering right now from a cold as well. It's that time of the year, I guess. Awesome. So, right now we still have some time to answer any questions that are coming in. If you do have a question, please feel free to ask it here in the Q&A box below. But I do want to throw a quick disclaimer. There are some questions that we unfortunately are not able to answer due to SEC guidelines. It just needs to be an even playing field for everyone who's not attending today. If you do have a question around the valuation, around anything according to the financials, please check out the raise page. That's all the information that's there. And if you do have a question for Daniel around that, please send him a message directly. That being said, let's go into the first question here. Do you have any patents for your product? And if so, what patents do you hold?
So let me make sure I heard that. Do we have any patents for our product?
Mm-hmm. And if so, what patents do you hold?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we, great question. I think we addressed that a little bit, but yes, we have 10 granted patents, 8 in the US and 2 international. And we have several that are pending for newer technology. And I believe that when we talk about, we have 8 granted patents. And when you look at patents, you've got to look at patents from, this is kind of from an engineer talking, but you're looking at offense versus defense. We've got to make sure that we've got narrow claims and broad claims, and that we feel that with our 8 patents, we have a nice overlay of very strong protection. When you combine all 8 of our patents plus our 2 international patents, we have very strong patent coverage. Our patent attorney is based out in Washington, D.C. He's very top patent attorney, and we feel very strong about our patent coverage.
Give a couple examples, Dan, of what the patents represent technically.
The patents, there's several degrees of what the patent. The basic simple patent is we have a patent that no one else can put an active signal amplifier in a form-fitting case. That's a very broad patent claim, but if you put a signal amplifier in a phone case, you've violated our patent. That's just kind of a simple. And then there gets into a lot of the technical aspects of, and again, some of this is, we talked about how a home unit has to have 50 feet of cable separating their antennas, because if they pull them together, they oscillate, like I talked about. Oscillates like when you take a microphone and a speaker and put them together and you get that feedback noise. So we're able to actually shrink those antennas down to fit inside a case without having that oscillation problem. And so some of those are the details inside of some of the patents.
Thanks, Dan.
And we, touched on this a little earlier with the partnerships, but how are those partnerships, with the companies that you mentioned?
With regard to which,
such as Uber and UPS.
I could touch on UPS from their executive level, a very strong relationship from my past. Same with FedEx. And I've talked to several of them, and there is a high interest, how they would deploy it, things of that nature. But a very strong relationship based on my background with those 2 companies. Dan, you can talk to Uber.
Yeah, same with Uber. We're talking to some senior management, and everything's preliminary, but people like what they're seeing. If it helps you get to where you need to go, it's funny. We had a review out on Amazon where it wasn't an Uber driver, but it was someone using the navigation, and they said, we were in Utah trying to get to our cabin and it was snowing and we couldn't get signal to know how to get to the cabin. We used the MoJoose product and we made a connection and we were able to figure out where we were going. So again, it's nice to see those. It's nice to see those reviews like that where it really helps someone out.
And then we have a question about the battery. What is the battery life for the case?
The battery life is, we can give you up to 100% additional battery. It's a 2,500 milliamp hour battery. 3.8 volt, and it'll produce up to 100% extra battery.
And then we have a question here around the crowdfunding campaign. What would you say to an investor that was on the fence about investing?
No, that's a great question. I would say that, I think for every investor, they have to take a look at what they're seeing on the site, what we just talked about here. I mean, obviously, we feel very strongly that we've set a foundation that that we're ready for commercial launch. We didn't just start this yesterday, and this isn't our first funding raise. We've already raised $7 million. So there were $7 million of funding that came in from private equity groups that did their due diligence and vetted us and felt like that they should come in to the deal. So I think that, everybody's got to make their own decision for themselves of the risk level. But, we've tried to really set the foundation, whether it's on the patents or the product validation or setting up the contract manufacturing in Asia. We've tried to hit on every aspect of really growing a business.
And then we have a question here that says, explain a bit more about your IP and its value.
Okay, so again, talking about the IP, the 8 patents, I will say that one of the things that we found very interesting with our IP is, some of our early IP is, we wrote some of these patents about 10 years. The first patent on this was written about 10 years ago, which was before some of this stuff that's going on now in 4G and 5G was really happening. So what we see is we've got a lot of big companies, Apple, Samsung, Google, that are actually citing our patents as they're looking at new technology. So from an IP attorney's standpoint, they're like, hey, you're getting actually the big guys are taking a look and saying, you guys are kind of the leader in this spot because you were looking at this stuff before they were looking at it. So, we believe we have very strong patent coverage.
Awesome.
I think I talked to that a little bit earlier.
And is there an example that you could show us, how the product works?
Yes. So I was trying to, don't mind my, I wanted to, I'm trying to figure out how to show a little demo here of, let's see if I can get this, let's see if I can share my screen and get the demo up. Let's see, it might be the, do you guys,
No.
can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let me move this down out of the way. So this is actually right here where I'm sitting in the office, but it's a little bit easier just to show you in a quick video versus trying to hold the phone up here to the camera. But well, take a look and then we can talk about it. Here we go.
Here we have the iPhone on AT&T 5G, and as you can see, we have 2 bars. We will now turn on the MoJoose case. And as you can see, we've just moved up to 3 bars and now 4. Again, this is on AT&T 5G with the iPhone.
All right, you guys could see that okay? All right.
Yes.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so that's really, I mean, whether it's, and it's not just iPhone, just so everyone knows, we have, we're working with we've got demos that show the same thing on the Galaxy S22. We even have an app that actually can show a little more details of going from the 1 bar to 5 bars. So it really, our technology is the integrated technology that's in the case. It moves across whatever phone platform whether it's Apple, Samsung, if it was Motorola or Pixel, it's really just getting the plastics to fit properly on that phone. The internal hardware inside is the same. There's a few minor tweaks that we have to do on how we position our antennas, but other than that, the hardware really moves across any smartphone platform.
We have a couple questions around.
As far as just actually seeing the case, this is the same case that we just showed the demo of. And one other thing real quick is, I think you might have seen it in the, I'll move back a little. You might have seen it in the presentation, but this is the retail packaging that gets shipped out on Amazon.
We have a couple questions around expanding the technology. Are we just sticking to the phone case, or are we expanding to other products like iPad?
Right now, we are sticking with the iPhone and the Samsung, basically smartphone cases right now, but that doesn't mean if it makes good business sense, the technology is the same. Again, if we wrap the plastics around an iPad, we can get the same results. That would be the iPad that has the cellular option, because remember, we're bringing in that over-the-air cellular system, not to be confused with your home Wi-Fi. So if you're only on a Wi-Fi with the iPad, that's different than if you've got the cellular connection. So definitely with the cellular connection, we can help that.
Got it. And as we come down here to the end of the webinar today, what are some closing remarks you'd like to leave anyone who's watching today or potential investors?
Thanks, Khalil. So, I think that if you take a look at, I mean, from where I live right now, even though I'm living in, kind of a metropolitan area, I still can barely get cell coverage in the downstairs of my house. So this problem, it's not just if you're out in the woods or you're in the backcountry. I mean, sometimes I go into a high-rise building and I can't get service. I'm at my home and I can't get service. So I think everyone at some point has experienced, that dreaded dead zone where they're having trouble with their phone, or they're running out of battery at the end of the day, or maybe they're at a sporting event. A couple of weeks ago, we were at a college football game. I had the case on my phone. My son didn't have a case on his phone. He couldn't stream data. I was streaming data. There was 60,000 people there. He's like, it was like I need to have a camera videoing this right now. But I think that the takeaway is I think we have a product that can help so many people, in a lot of different verticals. We didn't talk, we've talked a little bit about the oil workers or the remote workers or the UPS drivers or the Uber drivers, or just people that are at the beach and want to stream their music, or there's so many different areas where people can get benefit from a cell phone case at $99. That's the same price as the one you would buy just to put an extra battery on your phone. So we think we're bringing a lot of value to the consumer with the product that we're getting ready for our commercial launch to bring it to market. So I would say we've tried to put all the pieces together foundationally, and we're ready to roll.
Awesome. And Bob, any final remarks from you?
No, I think Dan covered it. We're excited. The capability is there, the technology, and a lot of it, it's can you deliver the product, and we have total faith in getting that accomplished. So no, we're excited about the opportunity, and we appreciate the investors and the people on this call.
Awesome. I'm going to add the Start Engine link here in the chat box below. If you have any questions or want to learn more about MoJoose and what they're doing, check out their Start Engine page. There's a follow button on the top right hand corner. Click that button, stay up to date with MoJoose and everything that they're doing. And for those who weren't able to attend today's webinar, this webinar has been recorded, so we will be posting a whole recap around the webinar, so stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone who attended today, and thank you gentlemen for the webinar.
No,
Have a
thank
good
you.
holiday.
Yeah, thank you, Khalil, for setting this up. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.